Hello tubes, this is Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. It's another pop-up one, so no face to camera, which you will all be heartily relieved about. So I've got some progress, as you can see, on the Airfix Collector Series 54mm first Polish Lancers. I do apologise, that's looking at some of my own Prussians on the desk. Got him all painted. There's a few bits I'm still undecided. Oh, I'm having a right one today, aren't I, for a pop-up vid? I'm undecided if I should go a bit darker on the blue or not. We will resolve that issue over the next few days when I paint the chevrolet, which is the saddle blanket. I won't get it out of the box now. I showed it on the last video. I painted it, but I've gone with this imperial blue colour, and I hadn't done that on the chevrolet, which means I'm going to have to repaint it all, which isn't a great big deal. So it's taken me most of the weekend to get this done. What do you mean you can't see the difference? As I say, it's quite... I've taken this from reenactor photographs, and when the light's on it, it's quite a light imperial blue. When the light isn't on the different subjects, what shall we call them, it's slightly darker, maybe as dark as some of the shaded areas there. But I don't know, I'm probably going to go with this, and I may just shade it in areas with some glazing. I'm not 100% sure yet. I didn't want to throw that much more time at it, but because the figure itself, to be honest with you, I think it was done in 68, 69 maybe, the original mould, sculpting mould, whatever. I don't know when my collectors, I might have said it on I've still got the box obviously. I don't know if mine was a 70s or 80s rendition. I'm not sure when they actually stopped doing them. As I say, you can get these. What I like about these are, for all of us that like doing mounted figures, obviously it's cripplingly, oh dear me, they're expensive, and you can be looking at, for a 54mm figure, around the £70 odd marks, sometimes lower, sometimes even a bit more expensive. It just depends. So with these coming in at, I do believe I got this, I said it on the first ever video, I can't honestly remember, but it might have even been a tenner plus the postage, so all in about 15 quid. I've been seeing them this weekend on eBay for around 20 to 25 pound, and with the other ones, as I say, the Cuirassier I'd love to get, but they're coming in. There was one about 20, just over 20 pound, which is a really good price, but I'm spent out this week, so we'll give that a miss, and hope that they come around again at the same price, because they normally are about 30, 35 pound, and I'm not paying that. And they do I think the most popular one is the Scots Grey charging. That goes for around the high 30s. Then you've got the Cuirassier rearing up on a horse. That's as I say, around 25, 30. And then you've got probably about 3 or 4 of these in the Napoleonic series mounted, which you can pick up for around the £20 mark. They also do, I think they do a George. It's a bit weird. They've got a George Washington, and they've got a mounted Cavalier, but you can make him rounded or Cavalier, it says on the box. So I've seen when I blew it up to have a look. Also, they do some foot soldiers as well. As you know, I got I'd sent the flat Napoleonic figure up to a subscriber of mine, JC, up in the northeast of England, and he wanted to send something down to me, which honestly I just sent that up because he's been a really decent. He's helped me out a lot with different comments and advice and stuff, so I wanted to send him that up, but he did send down a whole box load of Hysterex agents or Hysterex Napoleonic figures, again from the same era, and I'm going to be doing one of those. I'll be putting one of those together when this is done. I'll just go along and like this one on the way in the background, so it might take a while. But I'm just saying, if you fancy doing a mounted figure, these, you know, around the, if you can pick them up for 10 to 20 pounds, £10, I got a real good deal with that one, I reckon, or this one. But they are of their era. They're very, some of the moulding's chunky and some of it's a bit soft, if that makes sense. Like, you know, the piping, so you can see around the cerise, I think cerise, the piping there is very thick, you know, things like that. So you could have tried to have got it down, but as long as you're prepared to put up with the little foibles for the era, it still comes up as a very nice rendition of a first Polish Lancers of the Guard. For these of the French, if you don't know, they raised a unit of Polish Lancers. So yeah, that's as far as we've got. Photographs at the end, just to get in a closer light type of thing. Face is as best as I can do with the face. Is not rubbish or anything, my painting probably is, but the face is fairly soft, so I've tried to put in extra details and that with paint, some deeper shadow areas and stuff, just to bring the face up slightly. Yeah, very nice. I've enjoyed it. The straps all came together well. What they didn't have, I've had to paint on, like one of them trompe-l'oeil effects. So I can't even point. I've got no point with. But the brass buckles there, I've had to paint on. What I should have done really was get another piece of spare, because there was enough spare, and made another piece on top of that. But yeah, you know, from a distance it looks fine. I purposely, they wanted to have this loose, and I didn't want that idea. So I'm having to say that the buckle for this is pulled under there, because there would be a brass buckle on the side of the where the strap loops in. I've painted on two little brass studs under his arm, under his, near the cartridge box there. Just about to see the little dots. Just put a little dot on there again, black paint with brass on. That would normally stop the two straps from going too wide. You know, they pull them together. And of course you've got the cerise, like they've got, the one thing that wasn't particularly well defined was the chin scales, unfortunately, and they are quite prevalent as a chunk of plastic around the face. And the base would be like a cerise, call it pink for now, and they'd have silver links, or white metal links for the privates and stuff, going, you know, obviously going around it and attached to it, but you'd see the pink through, and there was no way of really replicating that particularly well, which was a shame really, because it's quite a big feature on the, you know, on the helmet. Probably could have done with being slightly thinner really, but well, I don't know, maybe not. So yeah, and also they don't do, like, it's got, I've painted these like little vented pieces on the I can never pronounce it, so I'm just going to call it the shako. On the shako, I've painted those lines on, as you can just about see in the cerise again, because they weren't there. And there's a little, like a little metal, like an old Balkan cross, you know, like the Germans have those stylised Balkan crosses. They have the French tricolor rosette under it, and then like a white metal cross. That wasn't particularly well defined either, and I've just had to botch that on as best I can. I rubbed out, as you remember, I rubbed out the pink, or sanded out would be a better word, Gav. Sanded out the piping that goes down the back of the, over the back of the elbow and down there. There will be some cerise turnbacks on the cuffs, so the same colour as the pink, but obviously you can't see them with the gauntlets on. Quite often these are actually slashed quite open, these gauntlets. They're not very often shown like that on figures, but you could normally see the pink through them a bit. But I don't know any figures that they're hardly ever shown like that. I'll just put a bit of brown black in, just to some brown with some black in it, just to again highlight. I go. So what I'm trying to say is I'm going off on that one already, aren't I? So that's the original high version, which I decided to leave on, but it was so prone was it so high on the arms, it looked a bit ridiculous. So on the back you could get away with it, I think. So I sanded it out and I've just painted the pink on, but then I've gone with the black brown, as you can just about see, down the sides, just to give it some relief, make it stand out slightly. That's about it for now. I mean, you could have added on long service stripes, corporal stripes, although they'd probably been hidden by, most of them, probably those have been hidden by the gauntlets. Gauntlets I've done, you can't really see, might show up on the photographs, got those browner and off colour compared to the more white of the top of the gauntlet, because when they're handling the reins and moving the horses about, they tend to get quite gungy. And that's about it really. The different whites, I've tried to do different whites. I found that when I was looking at the reenactors, the epaulette, the fringes were more of this, more like an ivory, softer colour, not so hard white as all the different lace. It's not lace, but brain keeps freezing. Sorry guys, head problems. It's hard to pull information out of my head sometimes. But yeah, anyway, all the flounders and all that they were more like a hard white, as I've done round, because this is like a rope, goes around the, well, it's not rope, but you know what I mean. It's got that like look to it type of thing. It's not a piece of flat material. So I've done that in like a cold white, plume in a warm white on the epaulettes, but left the boards actually the hard white. That's what I was looking at in the reenactors, and piping cold white. Bit of 50-50 really on the gauntlets, because I've used my favourite way of building up white on dirty trousers, white trousers, which I'm about to start on me Swiss figure, which is like an RAF colour in the AK range, and I build it up and then I add deck tan and silver grey and stuff, so they're off white, but they're a bit in between, if that makes sense. Obviously warm white for the I was looking what the reenactors were depicting, and it was more of a warm white on those, because they normally pipe clay these, I believe, but when they don't keep up with it, starts yellowing, and when it starts going back to the buff leather. There we go. He's got his bayonet. I'm not sure if I'm saying I've done all this. I can't remember if I've painted the carbine yet. Did I put the carbine on the shabriquet? Can't remember. Oh well, we'll go back to that in a bit. So yeah, next plan for this guy is during the week I'm going to put him in a dust-free environment, which is hard in our house with Arch around. We will put him in a dust-free environment, and I will work on that lance. I'm going to have to replace it with some brass rod, and just hope I've got some brass rod at the right scale. You know I won't. That might take a week or so of faffing around, you know, because I'm going to have to file bits off and just generally, you know, I've got to make a pennant for it as well out of foil, so that's going to take a bit of work. So it's probably take me a week to faff around with the lance, get the pennant obviously all complete on that, and there's like a hand strap. Also you'll notice I'll have to put these stick out here for the lance to go on. I take it they did have them on both sides. I can't remember what the reenactors had now. Just a little place that the guy could put the lance to take the weight off. But what I was going to say, you can see he's missing his straps at the moment. Well, obviously not until he's mounted can I put the straps in and the reins into his rein hand. Now I'll guarantee you I'll take some paint off with glue or something, so that's a bridge that we've got to cross and see how that turns out. And I also want to just maybe I don't want to, as you can see with the back cartridge, but I've left that, normally I dingy them up a bit, but I've left that more or less my version of black, if that makes sense. Same as the band in there, it just shows like a shiny leather. So I don't think I'll be putting too much dirt up him or anything, just keep him fairly clean. So thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. I have today received not one, but come on, turn around in your own time. There we go. That's for the Jeep. Yeah, he wanted 35 scale Jeep. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to paint it just with that, because I wanted a faded look, or that, and then that. Be ashamed to open two bottles. I'm undecided. But yeah, we have colour on the Jeep tomorrow, hopefully. So we'll have an update on that. I'm just starting on basing. I'll be painting the base of the 95th Rifles 40mm Perry Miniatures figure. I've got another Perry Miniatures figure which I showed on this video, I believe, or not this video, but this figure last time. He begins his painting process. He's going to be done as a Swiss regiment, still undecided which one, in the service of the French. We've got the Warlord Epic. I've actually got the last two rows, two stands, whatever, and the mounted officer. They've 2/3 of the way through their trousers being painted last night before my eyeballs decided to give up and they didn't want to work anymore. So yeah, we've got a fair bit going. I need to swing back onto that 15mm little project. I don't want that stalling. The house has stalled, but I will try and get back into the zone on that one and get that one done. And I'm hoping another model related project is to get that Dragonfly further forward towards the end of the week or midweek. I would like that to get sorted as well. So there's a few bits and bobs coming up. So look after yourselves. Thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. As I say, if you fancy working on a figure, as long as you're prepared to put a bit of work into them, as I say, these straps, they're not hard, because you know they come with the original 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s plastic, you know, like what we call plasticard, I suppose, but it's like paper almost. And as you glue it, it can sometimes melt, because I like to use my hot glues to weld it to the body. And you've just got to put a bit of effort into it, you know what I mean? It's an old figure, just like the guys that make the old aeroplanes and that the Airfix bring back. I would really ask, I've got the only person I know that with any pulling power with Airfix is Gary over Gary's stuff. And I beg you, Gary, to use your influence, not malign, your happy, shiny, sunny influence on Airfix, and ask them could they please bring back the collector's series in the Napoleonic ranges, so everybody gets a chance of having a go at making one of these. Right guys, thanks a lot, take care of yourselves, and we'll catch up soon on another video.